So we can start. Marta, can you just go to the next slide, please? Yeah, again, just a quick reminder, please use the chat if you have any questions. Of course, we will try to address them. So use it if you feel like sharing your comments or ask any questions. So without further ado, we can start the meeting. Today is the final webinar of GovTech Connect project, which has been running for the last 2 years, and it is a European Commission project, and it was delivered by a consortium that is Intellera Consulting, together with the Lisbon Council, Public and Politecnico di Milano, working together to bring value to the GovTech Connect community in Europe. Indeed, the objective of this project was to create this community, bringing together the different stakeholders and create this ecosystem at European level. And today we would like to share our insights from the different activities. In fact, after the welcome from the European Commission and Stefanos Kotoglu will do it. We will then deep dive on the different lessons learned from the 4 main topics of our project. So the Lisbon Council will tell you more about the research and foresight study activities, and then we will have a public telling everything about what was done with the startups in the bootcamps. Then we will have Politecnico di Milano, sharing their experience with the design thinking methodologies. And finally, there will be me from Intellera telling you about the community building and engagement. Finally, there will be Goran Zekovic, our project officer, giving you a brief closing remark. So without further ado, I will leave the floor to Stefanos from DG Digit that will give a brief welcome. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sarah. Good morning, everyone, and happy to see you all again after our GovTech event at the end of last month. So just also running out of time, I would say, I would just want to actually welcome you on this meeting to see actually the closure of this project. And again, to mention that the GovTech Connect, even though it's going to be, let's say, finished in this round, we will continue supporting it and all the activities by integrating it and bringing it together with the public sector tech goods, bringing together public administrations with the SMEs and startups. So yeah, without any further ado, I would just give back the floor to Sarah to continue the meetings. And yeah, have a nice meeting.
Thank you, Stefanos. And of course, it's very nice to have you here and to continue our activities. So yeah, let's move ahead. And we start with what we learned from our project. And we start from yeah, just go to the next slide, please. Yeah, to Francesco Mureddo from the Lisbon Council, telling everything about the research activities and the foresight study. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. I'm Francesco Mureddo, Senior Director at the Lisbon Council. So it has been a very interesting journey the last 2 years, and the output of the project is very interesting, and I hope that is of interest for a lot of people. For what concerns the research and foresight study, there have been 3 main set of activities. So the elaboration of the catalog of GovTech initiatives. Basically, we set up and we populated with the collaboration of all the rest of the partners a repository of cases. We carried out the expert workshops, so a visioning workshop at the beginning of the project, then a pastoral workshop, 2 theory of change workshops, and 2 foresight workshops. Also, in this case, with a huge collaboration from the partners, from the European Commission, and from the experts at large. And then we also carried out a EU-wide survey with 63 respondents from 25 member states. Let's say that the theory of change has been the foundation of the work for what concerns this task. So we started from the vision of making Europe the most attractive system and basically for GovTech in terms also of quality of public services. And then we reflected on how to achieve the vision, and we elaborated three major families of strategies, which have been decomposed into a set of levers of transformation. We also devised a set of associated barriers and interpretative risk that are connected to the PESTLE framework of recommendation. And this theory of change has been both the foundation of the survey, that has been to validate the theory of change and to develop priorities for policy, and also the foresight workshop, and therefore the roadmap and recommendations that in fact stem from the implementation barriers and the PESTLE, let's say build on implementation barriers and the PESTLE recommendations. Next slide, please. So for what concerns the outcomes of the project, so we have concerning, let's say, as we said, we curated and we produced and curated a list of 101 GovTech initiatives. We elaborated a market trends analysis and policy review. We elaborated a theory of change, and finally roadmap and policy recommendations. Concerning the lessons learned from the project, from our activity, for sure we want to put the focus on a procurement process that is established way more transparent and flexible. Boosting interoperability, of course, is very important, and training, as I will explain also later, is also one of the core. Training and co-creation are one of the core let's say results of our analysis. For what concerns future work, we would like to release a report shaping the EU government ecosystem at the horizon 2050. We also want to publish our policy brief, the policy brief that we elaborated within the scope of the last months of activities. Also, the policy brief is called Shaping GovTech 2050 in EU, and the list of GovTech initiatives will be basically the background for further projects. Next slide. Concerning, let's say, the final result that has been presented last week, so the GovTech 2050 roadmap. So the aim of basically of our analysis is to understand how to make, let's say, EU a GovTech leader, so establish the EU as a leader in digital governance transformation through interoperable, sustainable, and innovative GovTech solution, how to use AI-driven automation in order to free human resources for strategic thinking and for strategic roles, how to self-sustain innovation in the long run, and how to attract talent and investment. Next slide. To that extent and to this aim, we elaborated a set of policy recommendations that have been discussed, with the audience last week in Brussels, and that will be basically the final result of the task. These policy recommendations that are being elaborated at the moment further are, for instance, focusing on a culture of innovation and data-driven decision making. Of course, strengthen the interoperability framework, especially allowing cross-border activity of companies across EU. Elaborating specific funding instruments and financial support mechanisms for GovTech, and in particular also implement regulatory sandboxes to test new technologies safely. So these are basically the results that we are going to elaborate further in the report, in the final report. And for all, let's say, questions and for all, basically, collaboration, please get back to me.
Thank you, Francesco. very clear and interesting. Again, please, if you have questions, either in the chat or we can also give you the email address if you want to reach out. So let's move ahead with Chiara from Public, and she will tell us about the bootcamps and what has been done and learned from working with the startups. So please, Chiara, go ahead. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Sarah. So hello everybody. I'm gonna be introducing some of the activities that we've done directly with GovTech startups across Europe. If you could move to the next slide, please. So over the last 2 years now, we've run 4 programs to support startups based in 4 European regions: Northern, Southern, Eastern, and Western Europe, and really invested in supporting them understand how to effectively work with the public sector. We have done this in a number of different ways, ranging from delivering masterclasses and sharing advice on how to build a successful GovTech business, navigate procurement, get ready to receive investment. We've provided a number of tools to effectively co-design services with citizens and end users, and had led a number of sessions on design thinking. We've provided one-to-one pitch practice support that would help prepare these innovators for the final pitch day event that was held at the end of each program. And then importantly, we've created a number of opportunities for innovators to connect with investors and public sector stakeholders by events or roundtable discussions. And yeah, all this materials, resources, and tools have been really grounded into our understanding of the challenges that entrepreneurs across Europe face when dealing with the public sector. Over the last 2 years, we've seen incredible developments with more and more startups looking at government as a potential partner and client. And we've seen that GovTech is, GovTech innovation is happening in every European country that we've been working in. The program has really touched every country in some way, shape, or form. We had over 50 GovTech startups accelerated across 18 countries. We had wide representation in terms of GovTech experts via events and workshops. We had a large community of members that joined us on Join Up and engaged in discussions about these solutions. This 2-year cycle has really created a very powerful platform to foster collaboration across public administrations, investors, and innovators. Moving to the next slide, please. This is the curriculum that has been built and developed over the last 4 cycles. That includes sessions and topics around work with government, from helping innovators understand how to position their product to a public sector audience in a way that really speaks to government buyers, how to understand procurement and how the public sector thinks about innovation. We had sessions that brought innovators closer with end buyers and GovTech experts to discuss the different kind of like regional context when it comes to approaching procurement. We worked with investors and to really help innovators position the GovTech business to an investor audience. And then we had a track around design thinking, as I mentioned before, that has been really one of the key pillars of the program. So ensuring that the solutions are built in a way that is really accessible, safe, and inclusive to all citizens and residents. So these are the topic areas. We've made a lot of the materials that we've developed throughout this course available on the Join Up platform. So it is accessible. And yeah, we're very happy to discuss any of these topics. If there are organizations in this room or that are watching this video that are interested in building on this to develop their own programs. Moving to the next slide, please. As I said, we've supported over 50 innovators across a number of challenge areas. The first bootcamp was focused on sustainability and net zero in the Nordic countries. The second program was around increasing access to digital services for all citizens. The third program focused on Western Europe was around smart city, and similarly, the fourth program for Central and Eastern Europe had a focus on smart city and creating more accessible and intelligent cities that really take advantage from the latest technologies to develop services that really support citizens in leading more on the one hand, engaging communities and empowering citizens to be part of the local activities, but also improving the way that citizens deal with local public services, from mobility and transport to public administrations and so forth. And these are the 4 winners that have been selected over many more innovators that went through the program. The program targeted innovators at the early stages, so companies that already had a pilot or a series of pilots or small contracts with public administrations. There were a few that were slightly more established, and really benefited. The group really benefited from having very diverse experiences across different countries and across different levels of maturity. These are, as I said, the winners, ranging from energy efficient buildings to sustainable road infrastructure. Asimov, a Spanish company that utilizes AI to monitor and assess urban infrastructure in a very smart and cost-effective way. Scenario Labs, sorry, I'll mention them all properly to give them all justice. Scenario Labs is a company that works with building managers to effectively streamline the process of receiving insights into both residential and commercial building portfolios on their journey to net zero, and accelerating this process, making it extremely easy and straightforward for buildings to become more compliant, more sustainable. Program number 3, accessible mobility. We had Streetco, which is a French company, working with cities to make sure that they are accessible to all residents, regardless of their mobility needs, and supporting, on the one hand, citizens to really produce data that can enable public administrations to take informed decisions about mobility issues. And finally, we had a representative from Central and Eastern Europe, Viva Drive, again, back to mobility, but this time with a focus on fleet management and helping municipalities and companies transition to zero-emission vehicles with their intelligent fleet operation services. Fleet operation management service. Next slide, with some recommendations that we've developed working closely with these innovators over 2 years, 4 recommendations, actually, a lot of learnings developed. These are some of the main ones, but very happy to discuss about any other ones more in detail. As I said, we found that across Europe, GovTech has really become a topic on top of most policy agendas. And at the same time, from countries that are slightly more established and more advanced in their GovTech journey to countries that are at the very beginning of the GovTech digital transformation, we've seen that challenges more or less are the same. Of course, there are regional differences, and we think that the fact that we had regional bootcamps was a sensible decision, because neighboring countries tend to have a slightly more similar approach to GovTech when it comes to cultural differences, when it comes to regional hubs. For example, we noticed that in Southern and Eastern Europe, there was a strong presence of solutions based on smart cities and infrastructure management, and the end buyers tend to be municipalities and councils. In other parts of Europe, for example, the Nordics, we have very strong clean tech hubs, and of course, much more digitally advanced economies. In Germany, differently, the end buyers tend to be state-level administrations instead of local. In France, you have a slightly more central, a stronger center, and startups tend to interact directly with central government and ministries. But yeah, as I said, challenges tend to be the same. We advise future programs to continue having this regional focus because of the differences that we've come across. Another important point when designing a GovTech program, starting with the problem that public administrations are facing and really involving end users in this process is extremely important. We kept our challenges intentionally quite broad to ensure that we could really attract a wide range of solutions, because it was the very first program under the GovTech Connect brand. In future, we think having a slightly more focused sets of challenges would be helpful to make sure that these solutions really respond to end users' needs, and so increasing the chances of adoption by also having public sector stakeholders really set the direction of the program. We run programs over 5-6 week window, and we found that having programs that have a slightly longer delivery window are to be preferred to very short intensive sprints, because public sector state cycles are very long. And so ensuring that innovators have, number one, enough time to properly digest the learnings and to apply them directly into the business. And number two, making sure that the program can really follow part of their journey in engaging with the public sector is important. And secondly, in this market in particular, connections are typically built in person. Despite the virtual aspect, it's important to make sure that the program is really inclusive and can reach participants across Europe. Accounting for a sufficient number of in-person activities is important. And then finally, some of the things that the innovators have enjoyed and valued the most about the program. Number one is getting access to real-world case studies of successful GovTech implementation. This information is not that widely accessible. This case studies, this success stories, and with some guidance on how to effectively put in practice the learnings developed by other most successful companies as being particularly valuable. Crucially, providing this forum to connect with end buyers, with investors, but also with peer innovators has been definitely a value driver for the innovators going through the program. And finally, having the endorsement from the European Commission, so having that mark of approval, due to the fact that being selected by a program funded by the European Commission was also considered another element, another incentive by the innovators when it came to deciding whether to join or not. So these are some of the points. As I said, many more, and happy to discuss any of this. And now back to you, Sarah, for the next chapter.
Thank you, Chiara. Very, very insightful. I don't see questions, so let's move to the next topic, which is design thinking and stakeholder engagement. That was led by the Politecnico di Milano, and we have here Marzia and Ilaria that will share their activities and what they learned from working with the startups and also the research part. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Thanks, everyone. I will start with the initial couple of slides on introducing what we have been doing as part of the GovTech Connect project in relation to this task and topic. And then Ilaria will continue on with giving you some further details and the lessons learned from our specific activities. So design thinking has been a key component, a key pillar that we've addressed during the 2 years of the GovTech Connect project through several activities that started with research, an all-encompassing research to build a dedicated methodology and adapt the design thinking tools and methods to the specificities of the GovTech ecosystem, and in particular the activities of GovTech startups. These initial research that we performed was then developed into a reusable portfolio in which we have made openly available and also tested throughout all the boot camps the adaptation of the different design thinking methods to the GovTech sphere. And was also translated into a number of trainings that we delivered beyond the boot camps. So not only addressed to startups, but also to the wider GovTech ecosystem, including, for instance, digital innovation hubs, and even beyond that, because as a result, this basic training on design thinking for GovTech is also available on the EU Academy as a course. What we found in particular throughout our research is that design thinking is certainly central for GovTech solutions, for the development of GovTech solutions, because it is capable of really bringing a human-centered approach to developing solutions that need to address a multiplicity of needs and perspectives coming from all the different beneficiaries of public services, helping to meet both the needs of final beneficiaries of services and solutions, as well as public administrations. So we've also shared these with all the startups and guided them through a process of hands-on understanding of these principles. And we have been able to collate these principles into these 4 principles that you see in the middle of this slide. The idea of adopting a citizen-centric approach when developing GovTech solutions, the centrality of co-creation in this type of approach, the relevance of iterating also when developing GovTech solutions, testing their hypotheses early on, and then also using testing and prototyping as a way to collect evidence on the relevance of GovTech solutions, and therefore being able to better address all the needs of the entire ecosystem involved in solutions. So moving on to the next slide, we have worked across the translation of these topics and these principles, as I was mentioning already, into several key outcomes of the 2 years activities that we ran in GovTech Connect. The design thinking training workshops have engaged more than 90 people across the entire GovTech ecosystem in 2 hours and a half hands-on training, during which we have been able to share those principles, but also very practical ways of adopting those principles into the operations and daily activities of startups. Also learning from how startups uptake and integrate and adjust these methods and tools according to their needs and the solutions that they develop. Thanks to this learning, we have been able to translate these into a course that provides a basic introduction, a foundation to design thinking for GovTech, with a special focus on stakeholder engagement when developing GovTech solution. And this is currently freely available on the EU Academy portal. We would be happy if any of you was to explore this course and give us feedback or suggestions on how to improve and how to enhance even further this content. And then very important to our outcomes is the GovTech reusable portfolio. This is again openly available online. It's on Mirrorverse. Anyone can tap into it and feel free to use it and adjust any method that you find there. The toolkit comprises over 20 tools that can be adjusted according to the specific needs in which you are, as we have been saying throughout bootcamps. If you are a startup, the reusable portfolio is not meant as a compulsory linear process that you have to follow exactly step by step as it is portrayed in our process, but it is a flexible and modular process that you can adjust and mix according to your current needs or the specific needs in which you are in a certain moment of development of your solution. And we have seen, very glad to have seen quite a success already of this portfolio because it has already had over 1,000 visualizations and over 150 adoptions, people that have downloaded it and adjusted it, taken the tools and done something with them. So we're very happy. We are very happy about these results, and we hope also on these output to receive any feedback that you might have and any suggestion for improvement. So here I leave the word to Ilaria for the next slide.
Thank you very much. Complementing what Marta just said, while we took the freedom to put the link of the portfolio in the chat, so to increase the 1,600 views little by little, we wanted to share that this project gave us the opportunity to tailor not just tools, but an entire methodology for design thinking and stakeholder engagement in GovTech. So especially having the exposure to the startups and seeing what they've been doing, facing the challenges they meet when moving towards the operationalization of such approaches allowed us to better structure this methodology that consists into an integrated perspective that puts together on the one side co-creation and design thinking, on the other experiential learning in order to support startups in their doing, not just by putting up something in place, but also reflecting on what has been done, the reason behind it. These two phases are relevant because we try to place the tools mainly on them, but while showing flexibility, because some tools may be used across the phases, as Marta just said, and support in different ways, being specifically tailored and adapted to the needs. Moving to the next slide, we just wanted to give a slight glimpse into the GovTech reusable portfolio, which consists, as said, not just in a series of tools which are there and ready to use, since it can be downloaded and on the Miro program and used as is or adapted, but it also has this part of step-by-step uses to support who's not friendly or accustomed to this kind of tools to their practical adoption. So really step-by-step with a plain terminology, not to create any obstacle, but rather supporting and facilitating. Moving to the next slide, some very relevant results on our side can be summarized in some lessons learned, some strategy, but also some limits that we recognized. In terms of lessons learned, we recognize the fact that different sectors and backgrounds of the persons being the core of the startups, so the people behind the startup as an entity, has shown the need of more specific tailored approach, which can be sector related, so to enhance their understandability and operationalize design thinking, but also citizens engagement. This because, just to mention, it comes into the loop the issue of like a vocabulary that are not, and terminologies that are not shared across some domains and which require specific like strategies to be addressed. Then we noticed that the design thinking training workshop and also the reusable portfolio has been a high success. So a highly successful approach to that is for sure the open access, but also the destination through which has been shared, which allowed us to reach a wide public, being also easy to be adopted. Because Miro is indeed a widely used tool for that and doesn't operate as a barrier. In terms of strategy, we encounter some challenges that may require a deeper investigation and in order to understand how to support and enhance startups in by intention to adopt methodologies and tools for putting users and stakeholders more at the center of their activities. A good way already mentioned by Chiara is that of capitalizing on good and successful practices of other GovTech startups, being an inspiration for others. And we follow the lead also by engaging, for instance, the previous startups that we encountered from our past experiences, or bringing in the loop startups from other GovTech very prone bootcamps, very prone to use design thinking to come and be an inspiration for the other GovTechs. Limitations that we wanted to highlight are mainly two, and very highly correlated. The first one is that citizen stakeholder engagement has been a limited approach in startups, and it's still like this because of scarce resources and familiarity with the approach within startups. So it is for sure something to push ahead and support in the future. The response in citizen engagement throughout the bootcamps has been addressed through the development of a specific methodology to support them that is for stakeholder engagement. And this limit has actually become a resource for further investigate this aspect within the bootcamp. So for planning how to engage in a systematic way stakeholders and users across time. And I think that our time is over, so I would hand it over back to Sarah, saying that it has been an amazing journey together and we did learn a lot. Thank you.
Thank you, Marzia and Ilaria. Thank you. It's very nice also to see that our outcomes have been used and shared so much. So great. Thank you. And then lastly, that's me. So what I will share with you today is about how, if you can go just to the next slide, how we engage and how we build our GovTech Connect community. The first thing I want to share is the fact that the community itself is the human factor of the project, and it has been built through all the activities, but it is exactly the connections that we build, the relationship, the contacts, the sharing of expertise and experiences that we manage to build in the whole ecosystem, European ecosystem of GovTech. So this community is very lively, and we engaged it through different, not just the project activities, but also the channels that we have. One of those is the GovTech Connect collection on the Interoperable Europe portal, which is the repository where you will find all the materials that was developed along the project. For example, you can navigate the map with all the GovTech initiatives. You have all the documentation produced. You have the bootcamp outcomes, also the list of the startups, the research, all the documentation that can be then consulted also beyond the end of our project. Of course, this is just a repository, but the community should stay alive, and we also have a very diverse composition. So, of course, we have startups, which were not just the ones that we, around the 60 startups that we engaged through the bootcamps, but also the other ones that we met, for example, those that candidate themselves in the bootcamps, those that we met in the different events, those that we contacted and we got to know. So we have very many other startups in our community. Another key stakeholder are the public sector representatives, who are the ones that we like to test and use the GovTech solutions, those that we would like to propose new ideas or challenges to the community, and also the policymakers, so those that can really design the policy for future in the GovTech. So for example, the Commission and all the other policymaker at also national and local level. We also have GovTech experts and academics that helped us in all the research activities, but also in understanding better the community, what are the problems or what can be the solutions that should be put in place to address those problems. And it was very nice to meet them in the different venues and to get their insights in all our activities. Of course, we also have different European initiatives, such as other European funded projects like GovTech for All, Spin for ESC, Public Sector Tech Watch, and we know that the strength, the close connection with this project, but also the European Digital Innovation Hubs, which are at regional level, local level, a strong presence. But we also found that their interest in GovTech could be strengthened, maybe with specific activities raising awareness on the value of GovTech. And then we also have investors and venture capitalists, which are, let's say, a stakeholder that we at the beginning didn't have clear and that it was important to bring on the table. But then we understood from the startup that this is like a very important presence in the community, which should be also more engaged also in the future. So if you can go to the next slide, please. Yeah, what we did were very different activities. I will not spend too much time in all of them because some of them were already shared. But starting from the first one is the GovTech Connect collection in the Interoperable Europe portal, which now has more than 360 members. As you can see here, the members are not the whole and full community, which in fact probably in LinkedIn, which is the second, let's say, channel we started, are more than 3,000. So we see a different approach in the two platforms, where the Interoperable Europe portal being a bit more static, so it's more like a window for the outcomes of the project, while the LinkedIn page is more a very effective communication channel. So and it was also very nice because we could have more people to join our community. We could strengthen the impact of our communication, also leveraging the networks like this kind of platform work, extending our reach, adding a new stakeholder to our community, also using it as a way of finding new contacts and also experts. So we think that the LinkedIn page is something that should be really kept alive in the future because it was very effective for the project. Of course, we have the boot camps with all the startups and the pitch days. Chiara explained everything about it, so I will just go to the next one. And this I will group the two other kind of initiatives that we carried out in the project that are connected to the fact that we understood that in-person events are really fundamental because they really create engagement. They enable connection between the startups, for example, to sharing their challenges and how they overcome them, or to get to know new leads, for example, in the public sector, or meeting venture capitalists. So what we did was to partner with other events that were already organized and have our booth there, and we invited the startups to be there, so facilitating also their participation. And in fact, we had these 2 global events with 15 startups being there. And also we combined the organization of informal workshops. We had 2 informal workshops with around 90 participants, and these were really effective also to bring on the table different stakeholders, share view that were also distant somehow, but also to, for example, let the startup being heard from the policymakers, but also recognizing that policymakers were willing to listen and maybe get insights from them, from the experiences to shape their policy. So this was really important, and the fact that we're like informal facilitated this exchange. Finally, we had our GovTech Connect Assembly the last weeks, and it was really a live event, very successful. So it was really good to have everybody there, and again, meeting, creating connections and strong relationships. Finally, what we can share with you are some ideas on how to maintain the impact of the project in the community. First of all, I mentioned it, the importance of LinkedIn as a way of strengthening the communication and so on, but it's important to understand that you need dedicated efforts on this channel because it needs to be curated, it needs to be also planned the communication. Then we strongly suggest to have an annual event in person where everybody can meet and share expertise, like our GovTech Assembly. What we can suggest here is to organize it in a less formal way or less institutional way, because if you want to bring the GovTech main stakeholders or to foster innovation, we understood that mixing different kind of formats or having a less formal environment is more effective. So, for example, for the startup to feel at home, let's say, and share their expertise, but also for the public sector to have an approach that is prone to innovation and to also get in contact with these other actors. We also think that one yearly event is not enough, but we should there should be different in meetings opportunities to meet. So you could to have like smaller meetings, maybe regional or local meetings, leveraging existing events, or maybe organize at a local level, regional level. Or also focus on specific sector in order to still give the chance to meet in person, start new relationships and so on. And finally, this is really connected to the previous one. We understood that peer learning and contacts are fundamental to create opportunities for innovation. So, for example, public sector representatives could talk with each other and share their experiences, understanding better opportunities, challenges, or also suggesting valuable solutions that were used. On the other hand, for example, also startups could share their expertise to overcome the challenges they encounter and so on and so forth. So these are like the main suggestion we have on this topic. Of course, feel free to share with us your point of view and to learn more. If you want to learn more, contact us. So that was all from our side. I still see no questions, so I will give the floor to Goran Zakovic from DG Connect, who is our project officer, to give you a closing remark.
So, good morning, everyone, and thank you all for gathering today. Time has come for a few final words. As we are reaching the conclusion of this project, we find ourselves at the end of a remarkable journey. Over the past 2 years, we have achieved significant milestones, while the foundations we have laid will support future initiatives, some of which are already underway. My journey with this project began 3.5 years ago when the project preparation phase in DG Connect has begun. The project gained momentum in May 2022 following the launch of the call for tender. Out of 5 received tenders, this consortium was chosen as the most suitable to implement it. Officially starting in December 2023 and set to conclude on 6th of January 2025, GovTech Connect pilot project has successfully fulfilled its primary objective to establish a groundwork for future endeavors in the realm of GovTech and green digital transition. As the project officer from the beginning, I can attest to the substantial progress we have made. Project consortium of 4 dedicated partners has been instrumental in its success. It has been my pleasure to cooperate with all of you, and I'm proud of what we have accomplished together. This project has also exemplified the power of inter-directorate general cooperation. From the very early stages of drafting project technical specifications, we have enjoyed excellent collaboration between Connect, to whom the administration of the project was assigned, Digit, which will continue the Commission's GovTech activities, and GRC, which is active on several critical issues important to the GovTech community. As we have heard earlier today, throughout this project we have reached key milestones. However, our journey was not without its challenges. Building community and engaging stakeholders from diverse sectors and regions was one of them. Through persistency and strategic communication efforts, the project has fostered a collaborative environment that encouraged active participation and input from all parties involved. This inclusive approach was crucial in achieving project goals. The impact of our project extends beyond the immediate results. We have laid a solid foundation for future GovTech initiatives that will continue to drive the digitalization of the public sectors across the continent. Looking ahead, the Commission envisions advancement in GovTech that will build on our achievements. Ongoing and future projects will benefit from the insights and lessons learned during this initiative, ensuring continuous improvement and innovation. We are confident that the groundwork we have laid will inspire and support more successful endeavors in the years to come. In conclusion, this project has been a remarkable journey of discovery, collaboration, and achievement. I'm very proud of what we have accomplished together. Once again, I want to thank you all for your cooperation and support.
Thank you, Goran. It was also for us a pleasure to work with you and the whole team. So very nice. Thank you. Okay, so I think we were also a bit late, sorry, but I think it was very rich and it was very nice, the project and what we achieved. Oh yes, please, I see somebody that raised his hand. No, it disappeared. Yeah, okay. So if there are no questions, I really thank you all for the project from the European Commission, from all the initiatives that we engaged, and also the whole community that was really the core of our project. And thank you all for being here together today and all the other days with our events. So thank you all and have a nice days.